got into a relationship too fast.
She had given herself, like, her virginity, everything that she had.
Then he ends up leaving her.
People give it away way too easy these days.
And I found out how important AIDS, how big a thing AIDS is, and how dangerous.
And he was like one of the people I was going to sleep with.
So I feel like maybe they didn't know what they were doing.
Hey, you don't see anybody dying in front of you, so you feel like, oh, everything's okay.
Searching for intelligent life in outer space?
In outer space? But is there intelligent life
on planet Earth?
Many adults seem to think that all teens are incapable of self-control.
But we're not all drug users. And we're not sex-crazed losers.
Maybe we've made mistakes, but we're learning.
Maybe we've seen what our friends did and want to do better.
Maybe we've seen what our parents' generation did and think we can do better. And know we can do better.
One of my friends, they were involved in an uncommitted relationship and they were having sex. And the thing about it was, maybe a month ago, she found out that she was pregnant.
My friend, she had given herself, like, her virginity, everything that she had. It was like it was all in vain because she'd never go back into that relationship again. And it was just kind of lost to someone, she spent like 2 weeks with.
She can't focus, she can't be a kid anymore. Now she has to be an adult even though she's only 15.
For example, my sister, she was 20 years old and she got pregnant. And I remember when she first found out, she was really struggling with what to do, but she was also telling me, she would call me she would have nightmares that she didn't want to marry this guy.
Nearly 1/3 of teenage girls who have sex become pregnant 1 or more times.
After a while, you get attached to that one guy. You're just practically just giving yourself up to him, whether he respects you or not, because you're just totally attached to him physically. And to detach yourself from him, it's really hard because you build so much emotion for him, and to give it all up was really hard.
I think it always puts a damper on the relationship because you don't get to know the person fully as a person before you get into all the physical stuff. And it does complicate things, especially when you're really young.
I have a friend. She's 14 years old. She got an STD, and now she's sterile. She's 14 years old. She wanted to later get married. She wanted to have kids. She wanted to have a nice family. She can't now. She can't have a nice family. She gets married to her husband. Oh, I love you so much, but we can't have kids. What's he gonna say? You're not gonna be happy.
Sometimes, sometimes I wake up worrying, God, what if I do have chlamydia? What if my, system is damaged and I can't have kids, I'm still thinking about going to clinic again and get checked up because I'm not satisfied with my first, my first test.
People actually, don't care about anything like that, because we don't see it happen. Because that's what I think. People don't see the reality because, hey, you don't see anybody dying in front of you, so you feel like, oh, everything's okay,
right.
And we don't really know the reality. That's the problem.
People give it away way too easily these days.
Girls who have sex in their teen years have a 200% higher risk to develop cervical cancer as adults than girls who wait until their 20s to have sex.
I don't know, it really breaks my heart to hear him say that, Sina, I have herpes, And he was like one of the people I was going to sleep with. I thought, oh my gosh, what was I thinking,
was the best swimmer in middle school and high school, and my grades were good. I was pretty sure I could get a scholarship to college. I even had hopes to go to the Olympics. In the 8th grade, to get guys to like me or even notice me, I went down on them. You know, I gave them head. Especially the football and basketball players. I thought I'm safe from STDs because I'm not having sex with them. I also thought I'm saving my virginity for my future husband. Well, I graduated from high school and went to college on a swimming scholarship. Believe it or not, I even competed in the Olympics. During those years, I met some professional basketball players and kept on with the oral sex. I had hoped that one of them would ask me to marry, but they all knew what I was doing. I had gotten their attention, but I guess it was the wrong kind of attention. Eventually, I met someone outside of athletics, and we got married. We had 3 wonderful children, and we were happy. In my late 40s, I was experiencing a lot of pain in my throat. Finally, it got so bad, I went to a doctor. After many tests, the doctor told me I had throat cancer, and it was caused by the human papillomavirus infection that I had gotten from the oral sex. I had to undergo extreme chemotherapy treatments. The cancer receded, but I could no longer swallow food or drink, no longer eat like a normal person. Can you imagine not being able to eat food? I presently eat food through a tube connected to my stomach. About a week. I eat faster. I look old. And I feel weak a lot of the time. I just wish that someone had warned me about oral sex. I felt demeaned doing that. I thought that was the way to get the attention of boys. What a fool I was. I didn't know that I could get cancer. Why didn't anyone tell me?
And just seeing it, it's almost unspoken that I just feel this little piece of my heart just breaking for them, because I feel like something that they could have saved and they could have had this glorious thing to be able to give to their husband. I feel like it was stolen. You know, even if it was their choice, I feel like maybe they didn't know what they were doing, and it just, you know, they kind of lost their chance.
Did you know? Half of American teens never had sex. Half of American teens never had sex. Maybe they waited for a better time, a better place, like marriage.
Well, I choose to abstain from sex until marriage because I believe it's a healthy decision that won't just affect now, but it'll affect my future.
I chose to abstain from sex because I always felt that it was a very important thing to save for your future spouse, whoever you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Also later on I found out how important AIDS, how big a thing AIDS is and how dangerous and how many people are affected by it. And I felt that if I can abstain from sex myself, then I could help protect other people from receiving the virus.
Half of those infected worldwide each year with HIV, the virus that leads to AIDS, are 15 to 24 years old.
We live in a generation we think sex is cool, you know, and also something like that. But I gotta say something also, you know, people are virgin or things like that. They should be very thankful. You know, I mean, it is the greatest thing you can have in your life. If you're greatest, I mean, if you're virgin, right?
52% of U.S. teens have never had sex.
I chose to abstain from sex because I personally believe that sex is one of the most precious and most beautiful things that you can save for someone. And because it's one of the most precious things, it ought to be saved for the person who deserves it the most. This time in my life, you know, graduating high school, about to enter college, is a time where I'm supposed to be figuring out who I am. And if I don't know who I am, how could I possibly give one of the most important pieces of me to someone I barely know?
I feel that there are many benefits of being a virgin because you don't have to worry about you getting contracting an STD like gonorrhea or chlamydia or something like that, because you know that you never messed around with anybody because you're a virgin. But if you're not a virgin, there's always a possibility. You always have that second thought, well, do I have a disease or do I not? I don't have to worry about having a baby on the way because I know that I don't have sex. I know that I'm absent.
I wish I'm a virgin. I just wish. Because if I am a virgin, I wouldn't be worrying about taking some tests.
Please log in the information requested.
Each year, 1 in 4 sexually active teen couples who use condoms have a pregnancy anyway.
All of us as teenagers, we all feel a longing for someone to understand us and to be there for us no matter what. And I feel like we can have that, but it doesn't have to come in a romantic form, as much as we might want it.
Compared with 15 years ago, there has been a 12% increase in the number of teens who are abstaining from sex, with the largest increase among male teens.
There's like a whole lot of pressure, like with other teens pressuring me to do stuff that I don't want to do. Even though there are the pressures, to have sex, it's up to you to make the decision not to.
People give it away way too easily these days.
The way that I deal with some of the pressures and desires that I have is I try not to put myself in that position for me to feel uncomfortable or put my life in danger or do things that I'm not ready to do. And I join community centers and help out with the community and try to stay off the streets.
Be yourself. Don't succumb to what other people tell you to do or what the media tells you to do. If you feel strongly that you don't want to date or you're not ready to have sex, then don't. Be strong in your beliefs and it'll all be worth it in the end.
Don't do anything that you're not ready for. Don't let anybody pressure you into doing things that you don't want to do or you're uncomfortable doing.
You don't need somebody else to tell you how important you are or how unimportant you are. You know yourself what you can do, and you have to remember that always.
Did you know? 2/3 of sexually active teens regret it and wish they waited.
2/3 of sexually active teens regretted it
and wish they
Why
waited.
you get attached to that one guy, you're just practically just giving yourself up to him, whether he respects you or not, because you're just totally attached to him physically. And to detach yourself from him, it's really hard because you feel so much emotion for him, and to give it all up is really hard.
An uncommitted relationship can truly have an effect on your mindset.
%85% of teens say that sex should occur only in a long-term, committed relationship.
There were friends of mine who, they're freshman year and they want to have fun and they get involved with guys and they just disappear, and it's like you don't hear from them for a while, and then when you find out what happened, like they got intimate with this guy, and then he ends up leaving her, and it's like she goes through a whole depression phase.
Sexually active high school females are 3 times more likely to become depressed. Sexually active high school males are 2 times more likely to be depressed.
They got into a relationship too fast and it sped up and they spent so much time on it, and then their goals were dropped. They didn't go to college.
He was sort of pulling away from his family for some reason.
My friend, she had given herself her virginity, everything that she had,
it was like it was all in vain because she'd never go back into that relationship again, and it was just kind of lost to someone, you know, she spent like 2 weeks with.
Because they want to fit in and they want to be accepted, they want to be loved by someone. They're looking for love and hoping to find it, but since they are just so chasing it, they find the wrong things, and they rush into something and it's not really love, and they end up, giving themselves to someone, and that person really maybe didn't really love them.
Couples who are not sexually active before marriage experience higher levels of romance and less conflict than couples who are sexually active before marriage.
She was just really hurt, and she would wear like black clothes to school. She was during that period that she was going out and she was sexually active.
67% who did have sex regretted it and wished they'd waited.
Active with this guy. She was excluded. She excluded herself from different things that she loved to do, like sports she liked from her other friends, and it's like she had no more time for anything else. And at the end, after they broke up, she was completely like in tears. She had nothing to return to, and she was just so like lost.
I think it always puts a damper on the relationship because you don't get to know the person fully as a person before you get into all the physical stuff, and it does complicate things, especially when you're really young.
These two people are at the altar, and as they're saying their vows, all of a sudden these girls come up to the altar with them, and these girls hold the bridegroom's hands, and so the bride looks over and she's like, what are all these girls doing here? And the guy's like, oh, the girls from my past, and I can only give you a part of my heart because they already have parts of it. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to do that to my future spouse and my future children.
They'll laugh at somebody who went through it, and they're gonna think that oh no, I'm not gonna go through what she went through. I'm gonna be more careful. I'm gonna use a condom. I'm gonna be the one dumping him or dumping her. I'll be the one hurting them. I won't be hurt. Both ways. You're gonna get hurt no matter what.
It's just very emotional, like very depressing, because you've given yourself to someone and they've hurt you and they've just walked away from you.
To reduce emotional and behavioral problems for your future children, get married before having children, and wait until after high school and into your 20s to get married.
We're tired of hearing sweet, soft lies. We don't want to be with any of those guys. We don't want to be with any of those guys.
You don't do things like this unless you come from a destructive background or you feel some sort of lack of love.
Love and sexuality is really essential to how people. Love is really essential to how people relate with everything in their lives, and sexuality is a central expression of love. And I think if we can't deal with sexuality in the right way, we don't learn to relate to love in the right way, and it affects all kinds of areas of our life.
Complete sexuality includes 5 parts: mental, physical, emotional, moral, and social.
Real men love their kids, spend time with their kids, and sacrifice.
Sacrifice for their kids.
For their kids.
Real men otherwise respect their lives. Real men wait.
Real men wait till the right time.
I want to be that father that can then keep my kids together in a family, you know, with my wife and things. You know, they can grow up and be proud of me and say, you know, brag to their kids, you know, well, my dad's always around. This is what me and my dad did this time, you know. I want them to have everything that I missed.
And so for me, I was going to wait. You know, delayed gratification. I was going to wait until I completed my schooling, obtained my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, found a woman who was on a similar track, and that we can then, at a good point in life, do that. And I found a beautiful woman, if I can brag a little bit, here she is here. Her name is Melanie, and she is a lawyer.
Married men are 4 times less likely to be unfaithful than men who just live with a woman. Married women are 8 times less likely to be unfaithful.
In my own family, my father was his whole life basically was pretty promiscuous, a lot of relationships, and myself, I come from a one-night stand, and you know, these accidents are very common, I think. You know, people go out in the woods and all of a sudden the girl gets pregnant.
Her and my father, I guess, had an infatuation, and they decided together to have me, but my father didn't have any commitment towards raising me, you know. It was just me, you know. Just me and my mother, just the 2 of us. Not my father wasn't going to be around.
To lower the rates of drug use, sexual involvement, and dropping out of school for your children, get married before having children, and wait until after high school and until your 20s to get married.
Studies have shown children with both parents do better in school, they do better in social and economic environments, and that they grow up to be more healthier, more stable people in the community and in the world.
To avoid poverty, graduate from high school, don't have a baby until you're married, and don't marry while you're a teenager.
Children need to have
2 committed parents.
Children deserve to have
2 committed parents. 2 committed parents.
It sucks.
It sucks that so many don't.
So many don't.
If a young boy sees no strong male images, you cannot tell me that psychologically that sends some kind of message to them.
And that kind of ruined my childhood, because I had a lot of resentment, you know, towards my father. You know, I kind of would try to pretend like, you know, it didn't matter that I didn't have a father, but it really hurt inside not having a father, because you wonder, you know, where is your father, you know?
And I'll be very personal with you, man. I did not have a relationship with my father until I was 21 years old. I met him for the first time consciously when I was a sophomore at Stanford University, junior at Stanford University.
You know, I didn't grow up with my dad. Very unfortunately, because, or I should say, I feel like because he was not a part of my life, it caused me to choose or make all the wrong choices when it came to men, young men. I feel personally that if he was in my life as a strong role model, as a strong father figure, that he would have caused me to deviate from some of the choices that I made and some of the men that I picked.
Everybody else is always, you know, bragging about their dads, or their dad does this and their mom's doing this or something, you know, and I don't have that to brag about. I can't say, you know, my dad's this or my dad, because I don't know, you know. You have to come up with those little stories. My dad owns IBM company, you know. You have to come up with all those little stories, so that really demeans a kid's childhood not to grow up with both parents. You know?
I have a better relationship with him now, so I don't want to, you know, scorn him or castigate him or anything. But he and I had a conversation, and he has many children in Los Angeles by many different women. And I said to him, he's 50-something now, and I said to him, you know, he told me he recently, this is about 2 or 3 years back, and he told me he had another child just was born, 50-something. And I said to him, be a father to this child, you know?
In cultures where fathers are absent, boys are more likely to grow up violent.
Monogamy doesn't mean boring.
Monogamy doesn't mean boring.
Look it up.
It means caring for.
It means caring for.
Caring for.
One partner for life.
One partner for life. That's the best.
That's the best. Yeah.
And for me personally, it was very hard to regain my value, to know that you come from sort of an accident or a one-night stand, and then to find your value, it takes a while, you know, because you know that it wasn't out of a deep love between a man and a woman.
I would like to remain pure for my husband. I don't want to bring anything into the marriage that shouldn't be there, and I would like my husband to remain, you know, pure for me the same way.
On the day that I married her, I cried as I stood at the altar because I understood how blessed I had become. That the woman that I'm looking at walking down the aisle is the woman that I will be married to for the rest of my life.
Did you know?
Married people have the best sex.
Wonder why? It's spelled T-R-U-S-T. 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 It's spelled trust.
I feel like having a strong family and having really close friends of both genders, you know, I feel like that has really enriched my life a lot because I know that they're there for me, and I know that I don't have to be worried about what they're thinking about me, if they're checking me out or if they're thinking about having sex with me. I know that I can always rely on them, and it goes almost beyond romance. It's even deeper than that because there's that element of trust.
Right.
Love is a beautiful thing because it's a commitment, and I've made a commitment to love her no matter what. In spite of my bad habits, in spite of her bad habits, we'll work it through, we'll talk it out, we'll communicate, we'll argue, and then we'll make up. And making up is very gratifying.
You don't need to be extra smart. You don't need to read a chart.
To know that sex is not a toy. Sex can create life. Don't misuse it.
Don't abuse it.
We're smarter than that. We're smarter than that.
We're love smart.
We're love smart. We have relationship intelligence. We have relationship intelligence. What about you?
everyone, my name is Dominique Hart. I'm Miss Free Teens USA 2007. Being a part of the Free Teens USA pageant has definitely helped me break out of my shell. I'm a very shy person, so being a part of the competition helped me to display my talents and display what I'm interested in, and voice my opinion on why I choose to remain abstinent from sex until marriage, which is a very strong topic for me and a very strong belief that I do have. As I've said before in my speech, I've had many friends around me who had friends, or I've heard stories, and they just break my heart to hear that, you know, fellow teenagers like myself are having kids at very young ages, and it just upsets me because it's like a kid raising a kid almost. You know, there's things that us teenagers we have to learn. I was very honored to be presented with this book by Denzel Washington himself, not a messenger, and also being a part of Free Teens, I was also recognized for that. I was one of the youth that they had recognized for the forum, and based on me going to college, Virginia State University, and doing positive things in the community. So thank you, Denzel. Thank you, Free Teens.
A message to people.
A message to the people we love. We want to hear what you think. Not just your fears,
But also your hopes and dreams.
But if you expect bad things,
If you expect bad things, that's what you'll probably get.
but if you believe,
If you believe in us, maybe we'll surprise you. Maybe we'll do more than you expect.
I think it's good for parents just to really support their kids.
Pay more attention to your kids.
Just do whatever you can to reach out and to love your kids, because I feel like a lot of kids don't really feel the love that they, you know, they look for love in the wrong places because it's not in the family.
Teens who feel close to their moms are less likely to start having sex early, especially if they know that their moms disapprove. But teens don't always know that their mothers disapprove. 30% of girls and 45% of boys did not know their mothers strongly disapproved of sex.
They don't hound their children because that's going to drive them to do things that you don't want them to do.
I know teens have this image of hating their parents and getting mad at them or whatnot, but just like really encourage, especially parents should encourage their kids to really do what they love to do, really just be there for them. And
Pay more attention to your kids.
really show them what a true relationship should be, so they can hopefully admire it and try to attain it one day, not try to get into other relationships that might not work out so well.
Teens who had good communication with their mothers received a clear no-sex message with no promotion of birth control were 12.5 times less likely to have sex than teens who had none of these three things.
They're going to feel like, okay, my parents keeping me away from this. Let me just see if it's really that bad. Talk to your kids, though. Don't keep them so far away from everything that they have no clue when they get into the real world and they're just lost.
The relationship that I had with my mom is a really positive one because she encouraged me to abstain from sex until marriage, because I see how it affected her life and how by her not abstaining from sex until marriage caused different problems with her life. And so she tells me all the time how abstain from sex until marriage, establish yourself a career. This way you won't have to worry about different baggage, especially from, you know, by having kids.
Just don't think any investment is lost. If you love them, if you cared for them, you know, you continue to let them know that you're there for them, they will go on to be good people.
You need to talk to your kids.
Talk to your kids.
Really, if there's any way you can, talk to your kids.
Pay more attention to your kids.
Stay on top of your children, know what they're doing at all times, and basically be nosy and educate your children. You know, take out the time to find out what they're learning about in school, and take out the time to just educate them more about life.
No matter what happens, always give your heart to them and always care for them, because if you don't, then something really bad could happen.
And don't be so controlling, like just like telling them, oh, you can't go out with this person or you can't do this. Try to understand where your kids are coming from and let them know your opinion and tell them like what would you do in their predicament if you was in their situation.
84% of parents want teens to be taught to wait until a couple is married or close to marriage.
Our future sons will have. Our future daughters will have.
Committed.
Committed fathers. Our children will have.
Committed fathers.
Our kids will have. Love smart mothers. Our kids will have.
Those smart fathers.
Our kids will have. Relationship intelligence. Because that's what we've got.
Because that's what we've got.
What about you?
Your time is up.